Friends and family, thank you for joining me here at the American News Network with Chris Sanders. Well, we have the military coming into Washington, D.C. once again. I remember just telling you this, and more importantly, what are we looking at here? Something in the Constitution? Is this martial law? Why are we doing this? Well, there's several factors. Could it be the Ring of Fire? All the massive earthquakes? Could Yellowstone be going off? Or could it be the fact that Vladimir Putin is coming into town? Was going to be D.C., now it's going to be Alaska. Now, don't think for a second that Alaska wasn't chosen by Putin on purpose. No. You see, I think Trump's going to get a history lesson from Vladdy P and the KGB, and Vladimir Putin's going to say, if you continue to bother me in the Ukraine, we're going to seize Alaska. What do you mean, Chris? Well, I mean, read the Alaska Purchase Agreement. We bought Alaska from Russia. Well, yes, but they've gone back and forth. Well, so have we. We've had the Civil War and all that stuff too. Does that mean we're still not America? And these are the questions that we have to ask ourselves in all honesty. Because if we attack Russia in any kind of way, we can concede the entire state of Alaska. As such, the citizens of Alaska are saying no to Vladdy P, no to Trump. But we can't have a war with Russia in any kind of way. We need to recognize that Jesus and God has won and unify America and Russia together under Christ and save Europe, or Europe is gone. NATO is gone. The EU is gone. You can thank Benjamin Netanyahu, the war criminal, for that. I'm going to explain the United States Constitution a little bit to us. In this, we're going to go over Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. Okay. In this part of the Constitution, the Enclave Clause, Ceded Government Clause, grants Congress the power to exercise exclusive legislation over the seat of the government of the United States in a district not exceeding 10 miles square with the consent of the states. Let's hold right there. I believe that our president's going to do a genius move in 2 to 3 factors. Factor 1. We were the Gulf of Mexico, couldn't drill there, but now we're the Gulf of America. What do you mean, Chris? Well, it is the District of Columbia. The District of Columbia has certain rights. How about we move the cops in, move the military in, seize and get control? Well, why would we need that, Chris? Well, so when we subpoena Barack Hussein Obama and Adam Schiff, they can't use their own police officers against the military. That's why. This could be the beginning of military tribunals and justice for America. Hold on tight, buckle up, because put your safety belts on. I think the orange man's about ready to clean house. This is the first step to it. But I think that he's going to be a genius. Phase 2. I think it's going to become the District of America. Well, wait a second. That would be brilliant. Take away the rights of the politicians, District of Columbia. And as far as the people saying that crime is down, that's a lie. I've lived in D.C. for the past half years now, off and on, and let me tell you what it smells like. It smells like the rodent part of a pet store because it's infested with rats, drugs, and derelicts. And the cops watch crimes happen. They don't even do anything. There's thugs and gangs that go around on dirt bikes. They rob stores in gangs of 20 to 40 people. People just stand by in awe and shock as the local vigilantes just pretty much cause havoc and terror on our politicians and our citizens and people trying to conduct business at our nation's capital. This Section 740 that's being inactivated was created December 24th, 1973. So we got a 51-year-old bill, and it's being executed, enforced today in front of us. This isn't permanent. This is a 30-day fixation. But remember, we just had the military in, they were out, and they're back. Okay, so then we've got certain things popping off, and there's a lot of stories going on, but this clause allows Congress to establish a federal district. So for a while, Congress isn't going to have the same protection that they've always had. And do they get away with murder? Well, how about we ask Ashley Babbitt on if they get away with murder. And Nancy Pelosi and everybody else. But we have Adam Schiff. He's going to be subpoenaed. We have him in the crosshairs, and we damn well know that he's guilty of crimes. We're going to be exposing those crimes here on the American News Network, but I did want you to know that federal agents and National Guard, 800 National Guard, have begun coming into Washington, D.C., and it is a cesspool. We also know now that President Putin and President Trump will be meeting in Alaska, and I suspect that's a very stable, safe place for Putin, because should we do anything, well, expect Alaska to be taken over instantaneously, but expect us to get nuked, Poseidon. It's not like there is an Operation Dead Hand. There isn't like this is actually the most powerful two countries meeting. I pray in the name of Christ that we see eye to eye, that we hold hands, that we join forces, because together it's not the EU, it's not NATO. Together it's Russia and Uncle Sam that can save England, Germany, Spain, and everyone knows that I'm saying the truth. You see, the truth is none of us feel the same anymore since COVID. Is it radiation? Is it how our governments are playing us? Is it our shock of the open borders? We see us funding Zelensky. We see us funding Netanyahu. We see us abandoning Afghanistan. And our only reason for Afghanistan was drugs. And we're the nation that incarcerates drugs and drug dealers. Seriously, 4.2, 4.8% of the world's population in America, but yet 25% of the world's criminals. And mainly now the only people that we can incarcerate are citizens. Meanwhile, the illegal aliens are getting away with murder. Then instead of giving them jail sentences, we give them a free plane ticket to go back home, so then they can come back here and kill us again. Makes a lot of sense to me, and it's pretty much ridiculous nonsense. In my own opinion, and in the nation's growing opinion, we need to dust off Benjamin Netanyahu. And it's amazing how America and our older citizens are all swayed by the Bible and reading a sentence when God was talking to Abraham specifically, as if he was talking to us, and that's out of context. And if a preacher reads on page 400, 200, then 700, anybody could tell you any story that they would want. But to truly know the story, you have to read from in the beginning to the end. And if you read it that way, you learn about how it describes the relatives of Christ, and it describes everything until perfection came and dwelt with us and gave himself, and God gave that to us so that we, us wretched wrecks, us sinners, us liars and deceivers, can be accepted by his grace. It's kind of like when you go to a 12-step program. The first step is to recognize that you have a problem, and in our case, our first step is to recognize that we are all sinners. For those that are perfect amongst us have no place to be around us. I think you're too perfect, you see. And many Catholics have questioned me, and I say, well, you call them Father. Forgive me, Father, but I have sinned. And Jesus answered, I am your brother, for our Father is in heaven. Also do not do the repetition movements that the heathen do, for they love to be seen in public. And it describes Catholicism. Israeli Air Force pilots abandon jets. They storm outside the IDF base against Netanyahu's Gaza plan. And for anybody that believes there's 50 hostages in a country that's been completely carpet bombed, your IQ must be below 90. You've really got to be that kind of stupid to think that people would dare even keep an Israeli alive in an area when there's 360,000 Palestinians left in an area where there was 1.9 million of them, but somehow 50 magical Jews are living amongst the rubble. They are drinking Guinness every day and coming out looking a mighty stout, I would say. And, you know, the people of Ireland don't believe in the crap at all. Neither United Kingdom, France, Norway, Japan. In fact, the United States stands alone behind this war criminal. And even the Israeli military. I would like to say thank you, brave soldiers, for standing behind truth and freedom. We are dealing with a war criminal. We are dealing with somebody that owes the Israeli government $5.3 billion. The intelligence offices were blown up, we suspect, by him. He's going to be doing time, and he is trying to escape his own sentencing. Israel knows it. They've had this dictator Netanyahu for a while. There are dictators we need to get rid of. Netanyahu being one, and Xi Jinping being two. We need to defeat dictators and communism completely. So there's a lot of interesting things going on today. Trump moves military into D.C. 30 days, and that's interesting because the time will be up on September 11th, September 12th. Just keep that in mind, America. The Ring of Fire is coming alive. I'm going to be showing you some major activities in volcanoes. We could be sliding into a cooler weather pattern soon. And I do want you to know that D.C. is a cesspool. It's worse than a third world country. It's truly dangerous. Can't even take my family there. It sucks that bad. Trump cleaned that nonsense up. You take Avenue H, as soon as you pass like 5th, you're fine. You hit 10th, 12th on. You're dealing with criminality, drugs, rats, disgusting sewage. The United States put a $50 million bounty on the president of Maduro's head, president of Venezuela. I didn't know we did that. I thought that was illegal. I thought the CIA banned that kind of nonsense back in 1979 with Carter. Newsflash, $50 million, dead or alive. Maduro brought to the United States. Pam Bondi wants him. She's out for blood. Marjorie Taylor Greene, Matt Gaetz, we're going to be talking here. We're going to be exposing AIPAC, A-I-P-A-C, and that's how Israel has infiltrated and conned every single congressman and senator we have. That's why they own us, and they need to stop owning us. And we need to kick every congressman, every politician, senator, everybody out that's got a dual passport, because last I checked, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, because it's one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. But if you've got two passports, that ain't one nation, that's two nations, and you're what? Violating your pledge of allegiance. You violated your oath of office thereby, and we're hereby giving you your ticket to be fired. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out. So we are basically going to be listening to AIPAC. We need to get them out. We have people like Adam Shifty Schiff and George Soros working together with Israel to take over all the news and radio countries and stations, just to brainwash you from Spanish to every language to where you're thinking that you're a homosexual by the end of the day. When will the nonsense of Satan stop? We need to bind together with God and kick out this malarkey. We have to protect our children, protect the airwaves. By doing that, who is the master of the airwaves? AIPAC needs to be out of the United States. I agree with Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we're going to be bringing that up to the American public. Section 740, Home Rule Act 1973. This is now 52 years old. This baby was born on December the 24th, much like my son Eden. But this one in 1973, 51 years old, sliding into 52 coming up. And it allows the president to take over the D.C. police. Do we need that to happen again? Ask Ashley Babbitt. Do we need that to happen again? Again, ask all of my friends, the January 6ers that were set up for sabotage. Their freedoms were taken away. They were not given a speedy trial. Some of them faced double jeopardy, pissing on my Constitution, setting it on fire. Couldn't happen enough, right in front of our eyes. And just this month, we bury 2 January 6ers, so they didn't have much life left in what they gave all. God bless you. But we shouldn't do that to patriots that carry our flag. Exoneration, emancipation, and, in fact, monies should be owed to these fine Americans for defending us and what we swore an oath to defend, the Constitution of the United States of America. So on behalf of the January 6ers, I'm asking you to examine Section 740, Article 1, Section 8, and on paragraph 17. What I'm going to suggest, we need this to hit the whirlwind, Grassfire, Grassroots Media, Doge Enforcement. America, please like, share, and subscribe. Push this strong and push this hard. During this time in which we've retaken the United States, this is the perfect time, America, for us to change the name of the District of Columbia to the District of America. This will take away the rights of some of these politicians that they hide behind, the security that they use. Again, just ask Ashley Babbitt if they use these protections to protect themselves against heinous crimes and even murdering, turning our temples and shrines and Capitol buildings into seance cathedrals. Washington, D.C., what about just Washington, America? District of Columbia, how about the District of America? And let's see Trump play some 3D chess. That's what I'm guessing this is all about. So hold on, buckle up tight. District of America, let's get this out. Let's make this happen, America. Because if we get the word out, we can make this happen. And we listen to each other. And again, during this time, when the District of Columbia police are being kind of monitored by the military, you could say, all we have to do is change that name, and when we change that name and it flip-flops back, all of those previous rules that granted them their freedoms to screw us over were written to go to specifically the District of Columbia. If the District of Columbia no longer exists and it's flipped back to the District of America, these people have to act more like they work for us because they do. And at this point, no kings, no queens. Well, you know who the true kings are in our country and queens? It's the Supreme Court of the United States. But if we make it to where they can get arrested, and Congress and legislative and Senate members, this gives more power to Tulsi Gabbard as she executes her plans. This is all coming together. They beat up big balls. They touched my boy, protecting a local, because there were vigilantes trying to rape some girl in Big Balls. He's rolling strong. Big Balls, he's number one. And I'm going to tell you something right now, Trump, that song that Sting sung, well, it's coming back about the Russians, and I hope they love their children too. We need to basically stand up for each other in America. We need to bind forces again with Russia. Tribunals could be on the way. We have the military there. This is what we need. And our superstars will be Matt Gaetz and Marjorie Taylor Greene. You just sit back and watch, working with Director of National Intelligence, Colonel Tulsi Gabbard. In Europe today, the temperature 104 to 109 degrees, and Europe is on fire. Same thing in Russia. We have 4 major volcanoes going off and the Ring of Fire. I'm going to go into that, Kamchatka's eruption, everything that we're facing, but it's looking pretty major. And so as we start to lose our patience, I believe that God will show us truly what we are and how fragile we are. And we need to understand all of those things, and we need to understand them fast. So as far as the tectonic plates, and understand this is coming at a time when China is being very aggressive to the Philippines, and we just smash them. Now let's check this out. This is the world. We've got the Ring of Fire after Kamchatka going off. We have it setting off the entire Ring of Fire. In fact, we even had earthquakes in Puerto Rico today, several even in Oklahoma, Texas. California is just really off the Richter scale. It's quite amazing. So I'm going to go over some things that are happening right now. I'm getting these updates live when you're in the oil and gas business. Of course, I pay attention to earthquakes, USGS, from every single country, and I'm going to let you know some interesting things that are going on as far as what's going on. Again, Puerto Rico, that area, we had some stuff. Peru, they had one about a 5 magnitude 3 hours ago, but in Texas, central Texas, I don't know if they report this, but from Midland, Odessa out to Carlsbad Caverns, we have and this is the Midland, Odessa, probably from fracturing and stuff like that. In central Oklahoma, we have some minor earthquake activity. Same thing with central western Tennessee. And but more importantly, California's coast has just been lit up from the 8.8. So I think it could set something off in California from either Oakland down there to Los Angeles, and what a time God would use to clean out San Francisco to make it a ghost town first before a tremendous quake would strike. But now's the time. Everything is on fire. Everything is moving. Of course, Putin and Trump are going to Alaska. It's moving strong. Even Hawaii, it's got some stuff. But more importantly, since the 8.8 in Kamchatka, just 8 hours ago, another 5.2 and a 4.9. And so it's nonstop. We had a major volcano slide into the ocean. Down in towards Japan, 19 hours ago, a 5.4 magnitude. But when I'm saying the entire Ring of Fire is going off, Indonesia's going off, down in Timor-Leste, as far as Papua New Guinea, Indonesia, we had one, a 6.3, a 5.1, and a 5.0 in Indonesia within the last day. These are, again, things that I've got to bring to your attention because the world's not talking about it. But since that Kamchatka earthquake, it's been a chain reaction, and we see tremendous activity from Indonesia all the way up the Asian coast, Japan, and through Alaska, back on down. So we have major volcanoes going off, and I think that we might experience some cooling activity from that. So just keep that in mind. If nobody else wants to talk about it, I'm bringing it up. As far as the antics of China messing with the Philippines, we had Chinese fishing and Chinese Coast Guard in conflict with the Filipinos today. Now, this is something that's out of hand, but you're going to see a Chinese kind of fishing vessel come up, and then a Chinese military vessel gets in between them to kind of cut them off for causing more damage to the Filipinos. I'm going to remind everybody in America that the Filipinos are the allies of the United States, and we need to respond swiftly and take a battleship out there and just annihilate all of these Chinese boats, period. They're fishing in economic zones and stealing the food of the Filipinos, but we have a Chinese Coast Guard ship and a Chinese military ship here pestering our allies in the Philippines, and to me that's just like these Chinese are pestering Americans. How dare you? And so Trump, I'm requesting, and if you're listening out there, put 2 battleships. You see these punks coming on in, light them up, give them the whole 9 yards, and sink them bastards like Swiss cheese, period. And that's how I would deal with Chinese people that are in the Philippines. I'm glad that you've asked me, because absolutely everybody gives a crap. Zelensky, He takes a cheap shot over Orban's peace, and I'm going to say, why on earth does Zelensky even matter? You failed. You're a United States puppet. Now we're frothing at the bit. Is it our puppet or theirs? It is not our war. Israel needs to get rid of Benjamin Netanyahu. Let's finish our border. Let's finish the war here at home. We have 20 to 30 million illegal aliens. We need to get out of our country. We need to get back to drilling, manufacturing, and we need to get on our feet. Stop calling Xi Jinping your best friend. That's the guy that brought up COVID and SARS, stealing all of our patents. He represents communism. He sucks. He's not your best friend. He's not our best friend. He's the enemy of the United States of America. The two biggest enemies, and we all know it, is China and how they compete with us and steal our patents, and they've stole every single invention and manufacturing job that the world has, and in exchange they've manufactured nothing but junk that winds up floating in the ocean in 2 years. The world's had enough of China. The world's had enough of Israel. And I stand for all Americans. We would like peace, stability. We would like to save America. We'd like to save Europe. We cannot save Europe by fighting Jewish wars in the Ukraine and Jewish racism, genocide, takeover wars that span from Gaza to Iran. Cut the nonsense out. Jewish kids are not more important than Gaza kids. If you're trying to tell us that in America, you're wrong. We will not accept it. Go into your closet, Netanyahu, and go believe you're superior. But as far as the Americans here, I'm asking that you read past the one sentence, because God will judge you for your disobedience. You're being naive and lazy. If it truly is your faith, read it as if it is your faith, from in the beginning to in the end. And you will learn that there was a lot of sin, a lot of suffering, and Israel means to suffer and to struggle with God. And they suffered, and they struggled, and they still suffer. And they rejected the cornerstone, and they rejected perfection when perfection came. And the two people that judged him, the man that saved me and you, the cultures were the Jews and the Romans. And even to this day, Roman went back and created the Catholics, and the Jews, between the Pharisees and Sadducees, have remained. And they were saved by two Christian countries in the 40s, the United States and the United Kingdom, and we brought that remnant, and we wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for Christ. And today they forget Christ. Today they forget Allah. Today they forget everyone except themselves, because their hearts are so hard and they still struggle with God. We need to break our ties and break our ranks with the EU and NATO. We need to form an alliance with President Putin immediately, establish ties with the other strong contender. And what brings us together but our faith in Christ? America, we are losing our way in Christ. America, our churches are empty. Fill them back up today. Understand the nonsense that we fight that divides families. The husband and the wife, when they come together and become one flesh, and to protect that one flesh, has been disevolved, disenfranchised, denigrated to the dust. Marriages, to where they don't exist because they've been given to something that is in fact an abomination to the Lord. And we should respect the word. These are our headlines of today. I pray for the safety of the National Guard as they go reestablish justice in Washington, D.C. My good dear friend Brock and Mari and I, Mari's had a baby just this last month, and it has been scary to even walk down the street just a block, because D.C. is filled full of such mental illness, rampant drug use, rats. It needs a serious cleanup. And so I humbly ask for the citizens of the United States that visit Washington, D.C. to do business, especially for our country, I show up there for not only American News Network, major news network, but also for Drill Baby Drill. And it is an interesting experience. Again, the town smells like rat feces, and it smells exactly like the rodent part of a pet store throughout the entire town. If the bubonic plague was truly to start and to happen there, it would probably finish D.C. and Manhattan in the blink of an eye. You guys have rat problems. In the Democrat Party, and also out on your streets, period. We need to join forces once again with Lavrov. Understand he's a decent man. I want to say happy birthday, Ron Paul, turning 90 years old. Thank you for your service to the state of Texas. And we need to start basically listening to you more. Here's an interesting story. The men of London got together because there was some illegal immigrant from Africa exposing himself, showing his tallywhacker to everybody on the subway. And so the local men together of London said, hey, put your pants on. And he said, no, I'm not putting my pants on. So they're like, no, there's women and children here. Put your pants on. And look at these women. They're all unsafe. They feel uncomfortable. And literally they get in a fight. And they kick this mentally ill, deranged Aboriginal's butt out. And they beat him up, which they should. This is what real men should do when there are mentally ill people. It is not like we can have them expose themselves, spit on us, or tackle our citizens. The cops should do this. They're too afraid to do their job. And now that these men handled the situation, London wants to attack these men for doing what they did to protect the community. I'm telling you, you need to stop this nonsense. The judges that bring up those cases, you need to post their addresses and get to business. Like I said, if anything, London needs to unite and get this out of your country and get it out now. Same thing with Ireland, Norway. Same thing with all of Europe. And I think the only way you can do it is with Uncle Sam and Mother Russia right there with you. We have wildfires all across Europe. Why? Is it sin? You can tell me. But all over the place. We have Israel lying. They killed a very awesome journalist, an Al Jazeera journalist. And when will it stop? They have killed 238 journalists. And this recent journalist was one that basically was one that we've been seeing forever on Al Jazeera. And I want this to sink in. And I want the lies to sink in. What is Hamas? Hamas is an Israeli word. In fact, everybody, in my opinion, that's Hamas is actually IDF. Yeah, you heard me right. Hamas doesn't exist. You go there, they get brainwashed by AIPAC. Hamas doesn't exist. It is an Israeli brainwashing tool. It is a word used by Netanyahu, who's a lying criminal. If there are men that unify, they'll show their face. Hamas, notice they don't because they're Israeli actors. That's what Israel's good at. The men that are fighting there are Hezbollah. The reason why they can't demonize Hezbollah, because in Arabic, Hezbollah means in God's way. And so to defend the children of Gaza, you will see a unification of 2 billion Muslim men and women that are doing their duty to protect children. Do not be swayed by this Hamas story or the lies and deceit of the property grab takeover. And it's going to stem from Gaza to Iran. This is not our property. These are these people's property. And there we go. Anas al-Sharif. And his death will not go unnoticed. Mark my words. And this is a crime that just happened today. But this is going to piss off all Arabs and Muslims and Hindus and everybody together from India, Pakistan, all the way to Egypt, all the way to Morocco. You don't go killing Al Jazeera journalists that have been humanitarians for a dozen years. And I want you to know that we have had 238 journalists recently murdered. Who is lying? Who is covering up their tracks? It is clear that it is Benjamin Netanyahu. And the whole world stands in agreement with this. Do not let the Israeli government or even President Trump brainwash you any different. Turkey officially today declares war on Benjamin Netanyahu alone. Remember, this is what destroyed NATO. He put explosive pagers throughout Lebanon, then blew them up and killed children. He killed the Iranian president the same way. These are war crimes. They also then put explosives in buildings in Iran, then built the buildings, then exploded the buildings years later. The exact same fingerprints to 9/11 Wake Up America. Silverstein capitalized off that. Building 7 was pulled. We've had the Oklahoma City building, same kind of thing. That was to protect the Whitewater files Clinton. We've had JFK also murdered. All of this stems to corruption, lies, and Israel holding nuclear bombs. We cannot let Israel hold nuclear weapons. No one ever says that, so I'll be the first. We cannot let Israel have nuclear weapons. Kennedy was going to stop it. They killed Kennedy. It is clear to me, don't know if it's clear to you, but the enemy of America, that's the reason why there's Americans homeless out on the streets. You know who's stealing my money? You know who stole my senator and my congressman? Well, it's AIPAC. There's lobbyists. They're waving the Israeli flag. They're waving the Ukrainian flag. But you know what flag they're not waving? The American flag. You know what passport they've got besides the American passport? The Israeli passport. And that is treason. Time for action. Turkey declares war on Israel. Tell Muslims and nations to join the war. So we have Iran and Turkey. Turkey's been one of the biggest buyers of United States military equipment. We're also going to see a unification with Saudi and Egypt as they smash Israel into the dirt, because hate breeds hate. Genocide is genocide, and you're not fooling anybody, because the world sees that we're supporting terrorism by backing Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm ordering our government to spread it, because everybody is in agreement, from Tim Cass to Doug TenNapel to Redacted with Clayton Morris to Colonel MacArthur, to every single person that we have on the staff and the board of generals and colonels. Were united, knowing that Netanyahu is a war criminal and that we will get our asses handed to us should we fight Russia today with the 10 new missiles that they have that go between Mach 9 and 15, as they're prepared to smash our ass back into the dark ages, while they just used the Biden administration and the Ukraine to dissect pretty much all of our gear to leave us completely wide open and susceptible so that they can kick our ass out on the battlefield. And that's a fact, Jack. Not anything I want to say. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan launched one of his strongest attacks yet on the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, accusing Israel of starving Palestinians to force them out of their land, rejecting Tel Aviv's new Gaza occupation. Also, it was noticed that they shot and killed 63 people today as they were going for food. This has been noticed. This has been documented. The criminals is the IDF, Netanyahu, killing civilians and children as they're trying to eat food that is being provided by the United States of America. We cannot condone the murdering of children. This is a fact. This is going on now. And I would say, how are we going to respond and what's going to happen? But it seems like God with these volcanoes are going to respond, because in the end, no matter what we do, God holds us in the end. God will judge us in the end. Don't be afraid of anything that these scoundrels do in the end, because our Father knows what's right. I just want you to see the pictures And the people from Israel, the people from Turkey, the people from D.C., none of us want war because we have relatives and families in each country. We stand united together in love. And those are just facts. Other fact, I said Hamas is a fake word. It is. Turns out Israel can't fight this war. They're asking the United States as of today. So I want to see how much you love Israel. You love Israel? All right, well, this dirtbag behind me, he doesn't really represent Israel. He's the Joe Biden of Israel. Keep that in mind. But the Joe Biden of Israel is requesting 400,000 American troops to defeat Hamas for Israel because they need to do it. They need to get them in Gaza. They need to get them in Iran. And no. Israel, you need another prime minister and get it done quickly because you're becoming a big pain in the ass for America and the rest of the world. And if you keep it up, you're going to make it to where Jews will be hated throughout kingdom come. And you're causing your own demise every day. Because hate breeds hate. The world sees the hate that you're dishing out. And the world sees the hate that you're dishing out to children. And to Christians, that is unacceptable. 400,000 troops. President Trump, will you give me 400,000 of your children to die for my genocide cause? I need to kill more Iranians and Lebanese people today because there are no Iranian Americans in America, are there, President? Oh, yes, there are. There are no Lebanese people. Well, there. You see, this guy is asking us to murder our friends, grandparents, and brothers and sisters in Egypt, in Jordan, in Lebanon, in Saudi, in Iran. And I want you to recognize the murderer for which he stands and is. Do not let him back in Miami. Do not let Zelensky back in Miami. These people should not be welcome in our land. They have profited from war, destruction, and greed. And I hope that we form an alliance with Putin. I hope the District of Columbia becomes the District of America. And we use the next 30 days to do that and start arresting Barack Hussein Obama, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and all the attorney generals that have robbed you and me of liberty. We got to demand that Netanyahu never returns because the citizens of the United States demand that Netanyahu gets out of Congress. We're tired of this Jew manipulating every senator we have, and don't think we don't see it. Don't think we don't know AIPAC gets all the freshmen to visit Israel. Don't think we didn't see Speaker Johnson and President Trump wearing a yarmulke at the Wailing Wall when they could have been wearing cowboy hats. Don't think we didn't notice. You see, I like Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, who did 30 years, never took out a gift, and had to live basically in the halls of Congress because he's what you call honest. But today AOC and all these other people, they can take Jasmine Crockett time and 3 houses from Israel this year as they manipulate a war against us and throw our humanity into the dirt. You could sit there with their squad and understand that really what they're planning is an invasion, the same invasion that's already happened throughout Europe. And we got to stop it now. D.C. residents react to Trump taking control of the city's police. Here's what I'm going to say. Most of these guys are paid for actors. I've seen them time and time again. Go arrest their ass, throw them in the can. You've got the footage from me and other people. We've seen these same actors. They're George Soros. They're people from Antifa. They're fired, basically D.C. artists. Put them in the gulag. Do it now. Understand you work for law and order and people like the January 6ers. And the time has come and the tide has turned. This country's ours. Your asses are ours. And these are the moments that we've waited for. D.C. residents, if anything, trust me, we want law and order. And if there's people that are rioting against it, they're the very ones that we need to throw in our D.C. jails. My name's Chris Sanders. Please like, share, please subscribe, get the word out. You're allowed to share this on any platform. If you're coming back from Sturgis Rally out on your Harley Davidson making it home, please don't drink and drive because drinking on a motorcycle is not like driving a car. Just take it easy, get some sleep, check in, wake up in the morning, enjoy that ride, take it home, make sure you see your grandkids. Know that America is with you. We stand united. God bless you, and amen.